Hey everybody, Boulevard here with my co-caster SchitJustWorks. We're going to be bringing you round 8 of JamFest number 6 between Nolagold and SauceKay.
Yeah, super excited. This was an awesome match, and honestly, I love casting it with you this past weekend, right? Was when we did it, and I'm sure we'll be casting plenty more tournaments in the future. So very excited to be able to bring this to you guys on YouTube. If you want to check out some more tournament content for JamFest, Duels of Runeterra, all that good stuff all over the place, you can check out my YouTube channel, SchitJustWorks, and obviously Boulevard. You got a ton of tournament stuff as well.
Yep, check it all out on my channel, which is where you're watching this, so you know where to find it. Just click that link down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that good stuff.
Boom. There we go. Just gonna open up Nolagold's. Sweet. There we go.
All right, I just need the screen share from you again.
Oh, yeah. So that does help?
Yeah. Especially if we're going to be doing both hands this time around.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're still not going to see... Actually, can I do... Let's do this. Oh, yeah, it won't let me... Oh, wait, here we go. Ooh. Yeah, the only thing I'm going to be able to stream or to share that would be his hand as well would be Streamlabs. It's just going to be kind of small, like watch.
That's fine. You can just show me his stream, and then I'll just have up Nolagold on another screen so I can look at his hand.
Okay, let's do that. Oh, yeah. Power of technology. All right. Rob said they need to properly assign costs to keywords. Why I gave you crap for lore having so many keywords to start. That way it makes sense to evaluate cards on paper. I mean, I imagine they do that behind the scenes, no?
You would think. So what SauceKay running? Because this is...
Yeah, I'm gonna... So you pulling up SauceKay's deck so I can pull up Nolagold's?
Yeah. Alright, this is nowhere near... So I was like, all right, Bilgewater PNZ. This is something I don't see very often. This should be interesting. It's not that interesting. The only PNZ cards are Mystic Shot and Boom Crew Rookie. And outside of that, it does look like it's just like an aggressive Pilfer deck.
All right, so this is like what you were talking about earlier with having the Boom Crew to trigger the Pilfer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it looks like Nolagold, we have Deep Sea Monsters, which is what he is playing currently. We have... Oh, wait. No, hold on. God, I hate computers sometimes. All right, yeah. So we have Deep Sea Monsters. We have... we have Burn Aggro. Gotta love it. Championless Burn Aggro. The classic. I'm just waiting for the third deck to load. So, ooh, he's running the Missed Call. So what's your thoughts on Missed Call being in these decks? I've seen it played a little bit more often lately.
So I liked it a lot in, like the old Harrowing decks. I'm not super sold on it in these Sea Monster decks, especially like here we see it get off on a Thorny Toad, which obviously is, a play that you feel like you have to make against the aggro deck that SauceKay did bring out here. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like obviously you want to see it down onto a Nautilus or one of these bigger units that you can get a lot more value out of. The card's pretty flexible. I think he's probably only running 1 or 2 copies. That's usually all we see. So I do like that he can't overload on it. I don't hate it. I think I'd have to take a closer look at what's actually coming out for it.
Now, how many Boom Crew rookies did you say SauceKay had?
3.
3, okay. So, yeah, so honestly, getting the Toad is probably going to help a lot. Not just for the healing, but also for the tossing to get him deep a little bit faster. And now the problem here too is I imagine Nolagold, so what's he got right now? Nolagold currently does not, actually Nolagold's pretty bricked in his hand, which kind of stinks.
Yeah, Nolagold's sitting on a lot of nothing.
Yeah, that is a whole lot of not doing anything right now, and that feels really bad. His third deck, by the way, is Demacia, so fun. We have Demacia, Championless Burn, and Deep. That is about as unoriginal as you can get.
I do like that we see the pilfered goods, so now I get to see what Nolagold would have drawn off of this versus what he actually does draw.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
Oh, hey, maybe it didn't matter. The Nautilus, maybe Nolagold was just going to draw 2 Nautilus.
Yeah, that is okay. So that's he needed that top deck. He really did, because if that Twisted Fate ended up leveling up, he was absolutely screwed.
And Twisted Fate, since we were kind of on the topic of balance changes earlier, I think Twisted Fate is like a very good card and a pretty balanced card given how hard he is to level up. And I know that some people have talked about like, it's too strong when he levels up, but it's so hard to get there. It has to feel as rewarding as it does.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. It's extremely difficult to level him up. I mean, it's actually very easy to level him up if your deck is focused around that. But when you focus your deck around that, it becomes like not that great of a deck. So,
like I had mentioned, I'm not super sold on the Pilfer stuff, but I do think Twisted Fate is like an excellent win condition for that kind of stuff, since he does just synergize so well with what they want to be doing.
Yeah, I love Twisted Fate as a card. And I remember somebody had commented on one of my videos, and they had mentioned, oh my god, like how can you think Twisted Fate's good? Like he's so easily killed. He only has two life, and he can't level up. Like he's such a bad card. And that's definitely something that somebody who's just started playing the game would say. If you don't have a whole lot of experience, I mean his versatility comes in like when you play him. Like him being on the field doesn't even matter until he levels up. It's just his play effect. He might as well be a spell at that point. Where you spend, what does he cost? 3 mana? Or 4 mana? You spend 4 mana to have 3 different options of spells that you can choose from, and that alone is like worth the 4 mana in all reality.
Yeah, it's actually kind of weird. There's so many times where I feel like I have to balance leaving this Twisted Fate on board as long as possible so that they can't play another one and get the enter value, versus like killing it before it can actually level it up.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how you actually have to think that way sometimes. You don't want that second red card coming out,
Yeah.
So he does, 1, 2, 3, turn 7. So with that crappy hand that he originally had, it is now substantially better. So this is going to be rough for SauceKay to come back from.
Yeah, just letting Nolagold get to turn 7 and still being at 20 life, definitely. Like looking at these decks, I have no idea what SauceKay's really running. Like I have no experience on this deck, or I'm not qualified to talk about the matchup. But when you hit turn 7 against Deep and they're still at 20 life and your deck's looking pretty aggressive, that's feeling like a lost game.
Yeah, and like you have something like Riptide Rex in your hand. When you look at the larger sea monsters in Nolagold's deck, Riptide Rex is like just barely gonna put a dent in some stuff. Like it's not gonna be doing much.
And that Jettison was a really bad draw.
Yeah, so this would be one of the decks that you don't really want Jettison from as a 1-cost spell. Yeah, wow, that is the very quick surrender. Wow, that's going to be one of the earliest surrenders late in rounds that I've seen in a while. But I will say they're both 6-1. So at this point, I think
it's basically guaranteed for top 16 at least.
Yeah, they both make it no matter what. So I don't really think it's that big of a deal if he surrenders. Listen, sometimes surrendering is the best play. All right. Sometimes that time save, especially on ladder. People underestimate the power of surrendering while trying to ladder. Like part of trying to ladder is the amount of time it takes to ladder, and the more time that you can save, the better. But just don't just arbitrarily surrender when you actually have a chance, right?
Yeah, like if your opponent plays a turn 3 Badger Bear, I know you want to surrender, but you can probably play that game out.
Yeah, yeah. or it's turn 5 and he has 3 on the field. Yeah, it's
But like if turn 5 he plays an Unyielding Spirit on his Fiora, you might be able to just pick up your cards at that point.
Yeah, right. Oh man. And that's another card that I think is highly talked about, Unyielding Spirit, which I'm not sure. My laptop over here had to restart, but I'm not sure if Nolagold's playing Unyielding Spirit in this deck. It looks like actually, yeah, he is. Oh,
he's playing 3.
Thank you, Nolagold, for having your deck list up on your stream. That's so helpful. Yeah, he is maxing them out at 3, and that's another card that's highly talked about. I mean, do you think they're going to touch that at all, come these nerfs and buffs?
So ever since Rising Tides came out, I have stayed like extremely low to the ground on like, keeping up on tournament stats and tracking a lot of things. And the main thing that I've been tracking is Unyielding Spirit's place in the meta. And it's currently sitting at a disgustingly high play rate. And I'm pretty sure its win rate when played on curve is astronomical. I do think that pushing it even up to just like 9 mana delays it by a turn, which gives a lot more options to counterplay something like the Fiora. But I do think it's a little unacceptable for me to like curve out on 1, curve out on 2, play 3 or play Fiora, take off a turn, Unyielding Spirit, and basically win the game. We just don't have enough answers for it.
Yeah, we don't at this point in the game, and I get what you're saying. So you're saying when it's played on turn 5, it's basically like, what do you know what the percentage is for win rate?
I don't. I would imagine it's probably in the high 80s minimum.
Wow, okay. That is pretty high. I mean, I will say it feels like when it's played later in the game, it's not that great of a card. Like it's okay. It does a cool thing, but there are plenty of ways around it. You know, if you have Will, if you have Riptide, if you have something like a Sejuani Leviathan on field to frostbite it, but like you said, I mean those are probably just the handful of stuff that actually negates it. I think you're right. I think at most it would increase by 1 cost, but otherwise I think the effect overall is it's an okay card. It's not, everybody first saw it and they're like, oh my god, it's an unkillable unit. How is that not broken? But I don't think that's.
See, it's kind of weird because I had the opposite thing where like I was going through spoilers and I read this card and I'm like, why have I never heard of this card before? I feel like nobody's talked about this at all.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's a cool idea. I think the problem is how little champion interaction we have. For like, there are a lot of answers to it on a follower, but not a lot of answers for it on a champion.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, because then you get rid of the purify response, right? And
yeah, purify. There's a Bilgewater card that just puts a follower from play into your hand, so like that could even answer it if it's on a follower but not a champion. As well as just how well it synergizes with Garen and Fiora specifically, these champions that get more and more value the longer they actually stick around on board, even Lux.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So we have SauceKay it looks like a pretty commanding position. You know, Nolagold probably at this point in the game wants to have a few more units on board than he actually does have, and he's going to have even less in a second. I don't know do you agree with hooking the 4-1 here? What do you think he's trying to go for?
See, I was actually a little surprised to see the Fleet Feather Tracker block the Omen Hawk instead of just challenging out that Trifarian Glory Seeker on the following turn. I think the challenge is kind of fine. You want to push through damage while you just kind of stall out and wait for these frostbite effects to really try and take over the game. It does not feel great, though. I will give you that.
Yeah, and especially like instantly right after that play happens, a Garen gets dropped, and it's like that could have been used to pull that Garen in on a future turn. So it's, I don't know. It's just a little questionable of a play in my eyes.
It's kind of weird because I would have obviously, like, when you can, I like to see a pass to stop the Demacia deck from setting up. And if you had, you know, if you pass and then Nolagold doesn't get the Garen down and you don't get to attack, I think you're pretty fine with that. The awkward part is that because it is specifically a Grizzled Ranger, your opponent's going to get off 2 attacks with that next turn, and you're already at a pretty low life total. So I understand it. It's just SauceKay really feels like he has his back against the wall currently, especially since we see that Unyielding Spirit picked up by Nolagold.
Yeah, that Unyielding. Oh, that's going to be scary next turn, especially if that Garen is able to level, which right now... So he does have the Sejuani Culling Strike in hand to be able to get rid of that Garen, but he's not... if he doesn't kill that Garen this turn, the Unyielding Spirit's going to go off. And what else is there? Freljord and Noxus? I don't think Freljord and Noxus has any tools to deal with an Unyielding, do they?
I think the reason that we've seen Freljord kind of pick up in the last couple of weeks is because it can just frostbite out the unit permanently, especially against Fiora. I think it's a lot worse against Garen because Garen doesn't have to attack to get value like Fiora does. He can just sit on board and give you the attack token every turn, and that's enough. Your frostbite effects feel a lot less impactful. So I think because it's coming down onto a Garen, Freljord really can't handle that.
Yeah, and then that's the thing too. Like, he has Sejuani. The problem is he doesn't have any effects in his deck to like constantly proc the Sejuani every turn.
Yeah, there's no like, I know Teemo Sejuani is something that has been kind of trolling up on ladder a little bit lately.
The best deck in the meta right now. Let's get it.
I don't know if I could say that about a deck without Badgerberry in it.
That's it though. That's the only reason it's not bad. If it just added Badgerberry, it'd be fine. Oh wow!
All right, I figured out my next expedition deck.
Yeah, yeah, right. All right, so yeah, he's doing the smart thing here, hooking the Garen. So it doesn't really matter if Nolagold this turn plays the... Now, it'll be interesting. So if Nola goes below 8 mana, then, and I think this is what SauceKay, he just circled with his mouse over the 8 mana that Nolagold has. Nola has to not go below 8 mana, because if he does, the Culling Strike is going to come out, and he's going to lose his opportunity to play the Unyielding on the Garen.
Yeah, and I really think that if this Unyielding doesn't come down on... All right, throw all that out the window. It's already on the Garen. These players play too fast, man. Every time I try to make a point, the players just throw it out the window. I'm like, okay, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, Nolagold stream is a little bit ahead of of SauceKay's too. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Wow. So that is going to be okay. All right, well, never mind. I was like, oh, wow, another Sejuani with the Culling Strike. Never mind. It's already Unyielding Spirited, so he's screwed.
Yeah. I was looking at the Fury of the North, and I was like, oh, actually, maybe with that and another Sejuani, he can win the game. But then I remembered that Fury of the North is the Sejuani,
yeah.
so...
Yeah.
Because Nolagold's not super healthy.
No, I mean, there's maybe some weird things that can happen, right? Like, maybe this Ashe, I think this Ashe is kind of close to leveling up. I'm not sure. But if this Ashe can level up and he frostbites everything and gets a big attack, like a wide attack in, that might be a way that he can win.
Yeah, I think he might actually have to let the Badger Bear live and block with the second Avarosan Sentry, because he needs to find something, and he needs to find it very quickly.
Yeah, well, it depends. I don't know. Do you know? Oh, wow. I think that just said 1 out of 5 for the Ashe.
Okay,
So,
never mind.
I don't think he really... Like, what other freeze effects does does this Ashe even level up in this deck? Like, how many freeze effects does he have? He's got 3 Sejuani.
He's got 2 Harsh Winds, 2 Brittle Steel.
Okay, Ice Veil. Okay, never mind.
Ice Veil Archers, yeah, like the normal amount of freeze.
Oh man, so he's got 3 more turns though, and he's gotta stave off this Garen for 3 turns, which might be difficult when he's rallying every single turn.
Yeah, at least he's got he's got the Omen Hawk, he's got the Babbling Beard, he's got the Avarosans. He's definitely got smaller units that he can afford to throw away on this. The problem is that at 7 health, you can't get through this and push damage with the Sejuani.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing here. He could go for an open attack here. This Ashe will be able to frostbite. If Nola doesn't have another unit, okay, he does have another unit. So he's probably still going to go for the open attack, I imagine, to try to push as much damage as possible. And now he's going to be able to clear the Badger Bear. So I do like this play by SauceKay. It's probably not going to be lethal, it doesn't look like, but he will get a lot of clearing done and put himself in a good spot to win the game.
The scary part is that the last card in Nolagold's hand is Garen's Judgment.
Ooh.
Which means that if SauceKay can't find something extremely close to a win here, we could just see the swing back in Nolagold's favor on the following turn.
Well, that is right. But if he does draw something like a Harsh Winds, that will essentially negate the Judgment. So I think that's what he's in need of here is a Harsh Winds for the next turn or some sort of freeze, so that he can negate that Judgment. I mean, he doesn't know that, obviously, but he probably wants a freeze anyways because it will level up his Ashe. So I think he knows he needs some sort of freeze effect.
Yeah, and he is going to push through a lot of damage. Now, there's no, over-the-top damage in Frostbite Control. There's no Noxian Fervors or any kind of direct damage out of Noxus. There's no, nothing of that nature. But with the Overwhelm on Sejuani and how often he's been able to find Frostbite effects for this Garen so far, maybe he can get it done. Losing the Ashe here is really unfortunate. It's going to take away your ability to constantly make it so that the Garen can't block or anything like that. So I do think Nolagold's going to be able to get this one. I can't think of any... Just because SauceKay's 2 cards in hand are totally useless at this point.
Yeah, and the problem is that rally every turn. Like, he's going to have to basically sack all of his units here. That's good if Nolagold doesn't open attack. Okay. Ooh, okay. I mean, yeah, I think you just go for the Reckoning at this point just because I don't think there's anything else you're going to be able to play it on.
Yeah.
And
that's something you have to block with your Sejuani, though.
Yeah. Well, oh, yeah, because the 5/1 can't block. That feels bad.
At least you get a... Has he Hearthguarded this game? Is that going to be a... I think that's only going to be 1 draw off of the Trifarian Assessor. Yeah, because the Sejuani is going down here.
And so,
but this could be lethal actually because it is, or no, because it is Judgment in hand. It'll never be lethal. You can't afford to. And SauceKay's probably gonna go for it too. Like just pull the Garen to the side and then push through with the 4.
And he doesn't have any freeze, and that feels really bad.
Okay, it's pretty good for him that he's playing Avarosan Sentry. I think he's playing around Judgment because if you do go for the open attacks, then Nolagold gets priority after attacks and can just open attack and kill you back. So if he holds back a couple units here...
yeah, he's got the 8.
Never mind.
Yeah, I don't think... the game-winning Judgment is about to come down, and I don't think Yeah, because everything will die. That'll give him 2 units. He'll only have 1 to block. I think that's basically game after this. Unless he does top deck a Harsh Winds.
Yeah, Harsh Winds could save him, actually. I didn't really consider that one. I think he just dies on the next turn to another open attack, though.
Yeah. Like, Harsh Winds just delays the inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not Harsh Wind.
That's not a bad draw, though. All right. Oh, never mind. I keep forgetting he had another attack.
Yeah, that was always the hardest thing to keep a track of in this game. When everybody starts rallying and I can't keep track of whose turn it is and who gets to open attack when.
Yeah, the rallies, and now you got scout, so it's like, okay, was that the scout attack or the second rally? Or So Nolagold takes it 2-0. I think we can jump into, I want to say Bruised by God is probably playing. So after we watch this Chex commercial here. Wow, so yeah, Nolagold I think went 7-1 then. So Nolagold always doing really well in these tournaments, by the way. He's definitely one of the top players right now.
Yeah, BBG still in Google Maps.
Man, I think you know what? He's just going pro in this. Like he's just giving up on Runeterra, and he's just like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm going pro in Google Maps. It's happening. All right, so let me.
This is my Google Maps sponsored stream.
All right, let's pull us up again. All right. So, let's see here. Do you see anybody else that's
Suture Khan is still playing? Is he?
Hey, you haven't seen him yet today. All right. Looks like, yeah, I think they're getting into game 3. And I see a face palm from him right now, so it doesn't look like he's doing too hot. So let's get into his game real quick. He's up against, oh god, can't read that. That's the Isaac Suckdote.
Yeah. And this is a mono Bilgewater with 3 Fury of the North out of SutureCon.
Wow, okay. Oh, you know, so he's been all right, so I casted him last tournament. Seems like he really likes this Fury of the North card for the aggressive purposes. He was playing it with what's that 5-drop that like it levels up if it's plundered and it turns into a
Stormclaw Ursine.
Stormclaw Ursine. Yeah, there you go. And he was playing it with that in some sort of random, just like kind of aggressive deck, and it did him well. Like he got far with it. So it seems like that's the same deal here. He's got the Citrus Courier for the rally. He's got the Razor Scale Hunter, which we don't see a lot of either. To I imagine also kind of get those extra attacks in for that aggression.
Yeah, and generally I'm not a fan of Misfortune in decks that just don't contain scouts. I feel like her on-attack value isn't actually that high, and if she's not, it's going to take too long to level her up without scouts, but we do see Island Navigator and Razor Scale Hunter, as well as Citrus Courier coming out of this deck of SutureCon, so he's actually got a pretty decent chance of getting her leveled.
Yeah, Misfortune, like, when I first saw Misfortune come out, I was like, all right, Misfortune and Quinn, let's do it. This is going to be great. And that deck is, like, okay, but it's funny. You see that deck a lot on ladder, like, up towards Plat, maybe. But nobody really plays it competitively or at higher levels. I think it's just kind of a, I don't know. I like it. I think it's a really fun deck. You just don't see it in, like, Diamond or Masters.
Yeah, MF Scouts, it's not often that we see MF Bannerman anymore, but MF Scouts usually takes up, I want to say about 20% of the Demacia decks from the top cut of tournaments, but personally, I'm really not sold on it.
I don't know, you don't like it with, and it just always feels good getting like Quinn and Misfortune on the board at the same time. It just feels like such an OP combo.
It just doesn't feel as good to me as just straight up Bannerman.
Good point. Or Badger Bears.
Yeah. The other big thing to me is that MF Scout decks never run Unyielding Spirit. And I think that adds so much power to the Bannerman decks. Like we saw last game with Nolagold, just Garen didn't even have to attack, just constantly sitting on board. It really takes one of the strategies of just frostbiting out the Unyielding Spirited unit off the table. And I think that I personally wouldn't be able to run a Demacia deck without it.
Yeah, and the one good thing about MF's trigger effect is, in a meta where there are so many Grizzled Rangers, it kind of negates Grizzled Ranger, because it's going to do that 1 damage to just get it off the board, and it just completely wrecks the card. So I do like it for that reason. But the 4/4 afterwards is just so damn strong. It doesn't even matter. Like, it's the Badger Bear afterwards still just wrecks.
Yeah, she definitely feels like a very good Anivia, and we really haven't seen any Anivia since Rising Tides dropped.
Yeah.
And MS just like, obviously she's lower cost and she doesn't hit things that don't go to have to block, but it's close enough and it's so much cheaper that I really think that's kind of contributed to Anivia kind of falling out.
Yeah, rip Anivia, huh? There was so much Shadow Isles played, and then also Anivia, and those just completely fell off. And I remember people thinking they were so broken, you know, towards the beginning of the first set releasing, and they have just continued to just downtrend the entire time.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Karma Anivia, the Dawn and Dusk combo kind of deck. And, you know, it was a little cheesy. It was probably like a solid tier 2. It saw a little bit of tournament play, but it definitely felt bad to just see that completely fall off the face of the planet.
Yeah, I like Anivia as a card too, and it's just.
I wonder if she's going to get buffed or if they're just going to try to balance the meta to a point where she can just come back into fringe playability.
I think when there are some more nerfs and stuff that come down, she'll be playable because she still has the potential to get duplicated 5,000 times. Just have a swarm of Anivias, you know. So one thing to note about Parlay for, you know, those who might be newer to the game, or myself, even though I know a ton about the game and apparently still don't know what cards do, Parlay can also go face. So keep that in mind. I was literally at 1 health playing on ladder and was not playing around Parlay, and then they parlayed me for game. Otherwise, I had game. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. Okay. Thanks for reminding me what that does.
You never see it go face, so it's understandable.
Yeah, I had no units on the board. I'm like, he needs to have a unit on board to go face, but nope.
I actually really like this Fury of the North to take out the opposing MF, especially because you are already behind on the amount of triggers that you're going to get since your opponent does have the Island Navigator.
Yeah, and it looks like, so Isaac has 2 triggers right now on his MF.
Yeah, I don't mind this either. You get the Scout off the board, and then you get to play the Hired Gun afterward to or put the Vulnerable down onto the MF and take her out at a later time.
Yeah, and I do like this play a little bit better because he's then utilizing his Scout attacks more effectively, which he has to do anyways to level up his own MF. So, and then at the same token, he's removing his opponent's Scout, which also allows him to Isaac to level up his MF a little bit more. So I think he's thinking more long term there as opposed to, all right, let me get rid of this MF.
Yeah. And I actually do like playing the Black Market Merchant over the Hired Gun since you do have that, or the Razor Scale Hunter to just go ahead and give that vulnerable next turn anyway and challenge it out.
Yeah, he curves out very nicely doing that. I don't see any reason why he doesn't play that. He is thinking about the Hired Gun, but the Hired Gun, if he does play the Hired Gun, there's nothing really that can hook the Misfortune that's worth it other than your Misfortune, but then you're just trading.
Your Hired Gun can do it because you have the MF attack, but...
Oh, that's
the MF
right.
ability, yeah.
Yep. So the Hired
But
Gun
I do like getting the Scout down for that purpose. I also really want to just highlight how good of a pull this Riptide Rex was off the Black Market Merchant.
Yeah. Man, I will tell you, I've seen so many good pilfered goods like cards that just completely turn games in this tournament. It's absolutely nuts. So he does go with the Razor Scale. And yeah, so I mean, this is going to do 2 things. It's going to remove the MF from his opponent's side of the field, and it's also going to proc his own MF's level to level her up potentially this turn when he goes in for the attack here. Problem is, if he attacks with MF, now the Yordle Grifter can block and kill the MF.
Yeah, and I think when all is said and done this turn, this MF's going to be sitting at 3 out of 4 since he didn't have any scouts when he played her on 3.
Oh, wait, no, I thought he had 1 proc. So this would be the...
This would be the second
this
proc.
This is the second proc, okay.
Yeah. I never know when MF like actually ticks up, because sometimes I swear like I hover the attack and then MF ticks up for it, and then I get confused.
Yeah, that Make It Rain is now putting MF in a really dangerous spot too. So this tells me he might have another parlay in hand. We don't have Isaac's deck up, or do we? Does he? How many parlays is he playing?
Let me pull that up for you and find out. I figure it has to be at least 2. I don't think I've ever seen this card as just a 1 of.
He actually played the Warning Shot. So he's prioritizing leveling his Sejuani, it looks like, with that Warning Shot. So if you if you're Sudracon, why are you attacking with Misfortune here? Are you just reading that your opponent has parlay and they're gonna play it, so you're just like, screw it, I'll get the attack out of her?
Yeah, probably. At 1 health, it's really not going to survive, and your opponent is a little enticed to
Block.
I mean, I guess if you're
Or take
fine.
the damage. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because Sudracon has a really weak turn 6. It's really just going to be hired gun, bank spell mana so that I can try to fire off a make it rain, hit you in the face, and then Riptide Rex you.
The only thing, like, there is a world where maybe Isaac decides to wait until the next attack turn of Sudracon to play a parlay or something like that, in which case he might be able to get the make it rain and the courier, or what is it called against? Yeah, Citrus Courier off in the same turn to heal the MF. But I feel like that's not a thing. Yeah, so wow, so he's actually not
far
doing
away
it.
from so much of this.
Wow. So I'm actually surprised he didn't attack with MF. I think in that situation, you have to read that your opponent, whether it be parlay or make it rain or something. I don't think there's any other reason that Isaac would have played that make it rain that he already played, unless he had another way to do the final damage to the MF.
Oh, okay. I see what happened here. So, oh wait, no, is this the wrong deck? Hold on, I might be looking at the wrong deck.
Wouldn't be the first time I've made that mistake.
I mean, it is the one that is lined up, but if I am reading this right, there are no parlay in Isaac Sock.D's deck. I think he might have stolen one from Sudracon.
Okay, yep. So, but there are 3 make it rains, I imagine, right?
Yeah, and that was 1 make it rain down to put the MF down to 1. So it's possible that this MF actually does get to live.
Yeah. So maybe that's what he was looking at then. If he's looking at the deck list and there's no parlays, I can't think of anything else that would... I'm trying to pull up his deck list as well, but I can't think of anything else that kills the MF from afar.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Both these decks are actually just like mostly Bilgewater with a splash of Freljord.
Let's see. So he has... And this is... Yeah, this is game 3. Okay. Oh, looks like it's going to be the 3rd deck.
All right, well, that's not what you wanted to see.
Ooh,
Do you see the Sejuani come down? That's actually going to be a lot of damage pushed through as well.
Yeah, so that... Okay, so there's a reason, or there's a way that he can actually pull the MF. And yeah, like you said, that's another 4 damage to the face, which at this point is kind of dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think there's a universe where... There's no way that Sudracon can't bank the spell mana to go for the Make It Rain next turn. And since Isaac is tapped out, there's no way he can get another unit down. So as long as Sudracon opens up with the Make It... Oh, those are MF Make It Rains.
Oh, that feels really bad. That feels so bad, man. I
didn't realize they were both Misfortune.
No, I didn't realize that either. And it's funny because when he hovers over the eye, they change back to MF.
Yeah.
Wow. So he now needs to top deck. Like, I don't even know. He's going to have 3 spell mana. He needs to top deck a Make It Rain, which he's only playing 2 of, or a parlay. Which the parlay would, like we figured out earlier, will have to go straight to face. So,
well, I guess you do still get to attack, and that'll trigger the MF ability, and you'll still be able to get down the Riptide Rex. Oh.
Wow, that is perfect. That is a parlay into Riptide like no other. That's
come on, Sudracon, we coached you through this. Send parlay at the face.
So what is he doing here?
I think he's... I don't know, softening up the board for the Riptide Rex sounds like what's going on here.
I could see if he pulls with the hired gun, yeah. It doesn't make sense. Oh, wait. Oh, see, all right, if he pulls with the MF, he gets the Sejuani down to 2, which means it's only going to take 1 hit from Riptide to kill it, which is a big difference. Same deal so now he has to block with the Yordle Grifter, which means that'll only need 1 hit as well. So he's going to get a lot more face damage this way. Or if Isaac ends up playing another unit, then he'll actually pretty easily be able to kill the whole board.
Yeah, I think Sudracon's really banking on Isaac throwing down another unit here. Because on turn 7, you're not going to play around Riptide Rex. It's still a turn too soon. Because I really don't think pushing face damage here is what you want to be doing. So I do think it is going to be hoping for something to come down. But there's nothing in this deck that really comes down on 7.
He could set up another black market merchant if he's trying to get some more value off of stuff like pilfered goods.
Yeah, I think, and then it's kind of a question of like, how wide do you want to let your opponent go? And that was actually a Yordle Grifter stolen from Sudrakon.
Feels bad, man. Well, here comes the Riptide, so that should be a clear. Ooh, so it actually misses the clear by 1.
But you do have the parlay if you want.
Yeah, so he still will be able to get a full clear.
Oh, but he might. I think he's going to save the parlay for next turn to turn on this Citrus Courier.
Ooh, and then this. Ooh, okay. So I think if that's the case, then he is possibly thinking about winning in the next 2 turns, which is definitely a possibility. If he is able to get that Citrus Courier off, he could also block with the Riptide to the Yordle Grifter if it does attack, and then get some value out of the healing that way as well. So we'll see what else Isaac has to actually play right here.
The scary part is that next turn Isaac does have mana for his own Riptide Rexes that weren't stolen by a black market merchant, and he does have the warning shot in hand to automatically activate that regardless of what comes out of him for the rest of the turn. And I don't think Sudrakon can come back if a Riptide Rex comes down straight away.
Oh, no way. I think that's that. I'm quick to say that it's game, but yeah, the Citrus Courier doesn't really help. The MF doesn't. I mean, none of what's in Sudrakon's hand now is really going to be able to help swing the game back in his favor against a Riptide. And yeah.
It's interesting to me that he threw down the second Grifter since he had already missed Allegiance with the first one this turn.
Wow.
I guess just valuing the unit more than the draw.
Wait, yeah, so if it checks the first card, it doesn't reshuffle the deck?
No, it leaves it on top, because you always know that you're going to be top decking something that isn't in your region then.
So maybe he's doing it thinking he could just get game. Because this is going to put Sudrakon really low. So he might have like another Make It Rain in his hand or something like that.
Yeah, he can just attack. Sudrakon doesn't have enough setup to block everything out here.
Yeah. He could parlay, and I think that is game.
Yeah, parlay being slow feels really bad here.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that's what it was. Just to get a wider board to set up into the Rex turn. That makes sense.
Yeah, so actually good heads up. I mean, I was thinking like, I wonder if he misplayed because he didn't remember that the top card was an Allegiance. But yeah, he was just setting up for lethal, and that's exactly what he got. You know, he has to choose, and you nailed it. I mean, if this parlay wasn't slow, he'd be able to live a turn, but that is not the case. And I think you just hit the surrender button here.
Probably. There's
okay.
Always like this weird 30-second period between the game ending and the game ending. And I never know what to do in that 30-second period.
It's like, what do we talk about here?
I could talk about how cool Riptide Rex is shooting all these cannonballs. That's such a long animation, too.
It really is. It's like, remember the Pilfered Goods animation? Before they changed it?
I don't know why it takes so long to draw that second card.
Oh my! They changed it in the last